finally got all the parts in to repair the leaking fittings on my fuel tank. So I need to get cracking on that today, and the first part of that's going to be draining the old fuel. Well, it's not old, I actually just put it in, but draining the fuel out of the fuel tank and then getting the tank off the bike and then getting the old fittings out and then putting it all back together. So let's get started. Even the original Triumph ones that are plastic are made by this company CPC. And so I found a supplier for these with the correct threads. I looked on the Triumph Rat forum. And these are stainless steel, and they have special O-rings which are supposed to be resistant to corrosive fuels such as ethanol. When you disconnect the coupling, both sides shut off and it's not supposed to leak, unlike the ones I have right now. And this is what I'm going to use to drain the fuel tank. It's just a simple little hand-operated pump by a company called Gas Tapper. But the thing I liked about this, and I bought this on Amazon, it wasn't very much, it has an inline fuel filter, because while my gas tank is new and it's clean, I am going to reuse this fuel because it's new, but I definitely want to send it through that filter in case there's any crud inside the gas can that I'm going to be temporarily storing my fuel inside of. And this is pretty straightforward. You get a fuel flow direction on the pump. I mean, you know, that's if you're using this pump. And this is the side that goes in the tank, and it has this kind of springy part in here in case you have to put this into the fuel tank of a car in an emergency. Then you have the ability to keep the little safety valve open inside the fuel tank. So this end, which they've marked, there's a piece of tape that says output, that's what's got to go inside my fuel tank, or gas can here. Poke it down in there. And I have a 5-gallon can. It's more than enough capacity to hold the fuel that I'm going to be pulling out of the fuel tank in the Triumph. And put the pickup side down in the bottom. And then we've got a convenient inline fuel filter. As you can see, it has no problem drawing the fuel up. And if you kind of let it rest down at the bottom, it'll work as a siphon, so you only have to pump it a couple of times. And so I get all the gas out of here. Then I can take the tank off the bike and we can get at the fittings. I also picked up, I've had these for a while, but they're Vuitton, might be pronouncing it wrong, O-rings. And these are O-rings that are impervious to ethanol fuels and other corrosive fuels. And that's what these newer style fittings have from CPC. And so I shouldn't have any issues with the fittings leaking, and if I accidentally snag an O-ring, I've got replacements. And the other thing that you kind of need for this is some Teflon tape, because it's not too easy to see. But just a quick note, you only need the 1/4-inch BSPT valve coupling. That is the female side, the tank side. The male side, if your Triumph had the recall, is reusable. You can just change out the O-rings, which is what I ended up doing because the return hose has a larger diameter on the hose barbed fitting. But these threads have a taper to them. I also picked up a tap. This is so if I have problems with the plastic fittings, I can tap out the threads, and it's the same size as this, the threads on here. The base plate that the fuel pump's mounted to in the tank, they Triumph use some kind of sealant when they thread it in the plastic fittings, and it kind of works as an adhesive. So even if I can get the old plastic fittings out in one piece, there may be adhesive left in there. So I went ahead and got the tap, and then I could just tap the threads out, and then I'll know they'll be clean. So when I go through and I use the Teflon tape to tape up these threads, I know I won't have any gas leak from the tank side. Alright, I got all the fuel out of here, and my next job is I got to take these loose, and what you do is you just press on this button here, just like the what I was showing you on the stainless steel ones. You press it and the coupling comes loose, and the tank's only held on by these 3 fasteners, and I mean obviously I have my tank loose and I've got it blocked up here. on just some little wooden scraps that I have to make it easier to get my hands in there so I don't have to hold the tank while I'm disconnecting the fittings. So I almost need 2 hands. Alright, do the red one. Just a little bit of gas has leaked out. Now we're going to do the white one. The white one was the one that originally was spewing fuel for me. And you just press that button in and pull it down and it comes right off. Now it stopped leaking because there's no fuel left in the tank. I just have to take off the wiring harness connector. There it goes. And I got the plug off. So that's it. Another fuel vent. And the tank is free. Now when I go to put all this back together, I'm going to use some red electrical tape and red tie wrap on the hose so I know which one it is, because one's send and one's receive. But here's the moment of truth. See how big a pain in the ass these dudes are going to be. And I can tell already that they do not want to move. Yeah. There it goes. It's broken. Which is what everyone else has experienced. And the reason why is there's some sealant in there that seals these threads. What a piece of crap. Thanks, Triumph. Way to design a really shitty part. This is why I bought the tap, because I can go back through and clean the adhesive out of these threads. So, alright, well, I know what I gotta do next. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this plate off. And I've already got most of the bolts out. And it's an 8mm. And there's a locking nut and just a little washer. And this is why you drain all the fuel out of the tank. And I worked on it with a siphon pump for a while. I mean, I could still hear just the tiniest bit of fuel slopping around inside, but for the most part, it's empty. And I've broken the seal, and you can see I had a little bit of wipe up, but I didn't have fuel gushing out. Now I'm hoping that this gasket is going to come off nicely, and I can just lube it up. We'll clean it, then lube it, and then put it right back in, because I didn't order a new one, because I didn't think I'd need to, because I was hoping that the fittings would come right out. I'm trying my best to pull this plate straight off. Get this guy going and suck out the rest of this fuel, if there is any. Now, the trick is I have to get this assembly out of the tank without damaging the damn O-ring. And it went in there, right? So it's got to come out. And there we go. There's my O-ring. And it looks in really good shape, so I'm going to clean that off and reuse it. It's 2003, it's 2015, so it's a 12-year-old bike. And you can see, let me get this closer, there's just a little bit of sediment. I mean, this is the lowest part of the tank, this is the pickup, right? So there's a little bit of sediment. This is your Triumph fuel filter. And now I can go about the process of trying to get this crap out of here. It goes into these fittings here that have been welded to this base plate, and this base plate is pretty beef. I mean, it's really strong. I'm going to clean this gasket up, and it should all go back together real nice. These are just not coming out, no matter what I do. So what I got to do is I have to use my Dremel with this burr on it, and I have to be very careful. I'm going to burr slightly on either side to weaken this plastic fitting, and then I'm going to break it up and pull the pieces out. I don't have to worry about the pieces getting in the tank because I pulled the whole assembly out. And then I'm going to use my tap to clean the threads up. I'm going to blast this all out with carb cleaner. I have carb cleaner that is safe for fuel injection and other parts of a fuel injection system. I call it carb cleaner, but it's like a fuel system cleaner in a spray can. Use that to clean all of this out. Alright, so I got this upper one mostly cleaned out. I still got to do some more work with the tap, but this is just a milling burr in my Dremel. And what I did is I dremeled around the plastic to get out as much of the thick plastic as I can, and I left it so that I could barely see threads. I mean, I wasn't touching metal, and you have to be very careful. So use slow speed, steady hand. If you have to clamp this in place so it doesn't move, do it. The Dremel's going to want to jump, and I'm telling you, you ain't going to do it without something like this. You have to get the excess plastic away. The other thing you're going to need is a magnetic 4-piece hook and pick set, and this is the hook that I'm using, and that angle allows me to get in here, and I'm chasing the threads around with the hook. And what I'm doing is, as this rides the thread, it pulls the bits of the plastic out. That's what's the remaining of the fitting, right? So then I just grab a little pair of pliers and yank it, and then it breaks, and then I keep doing that all the way down. Then when it's finished, when I think it's as clean as I can get it, then I have to chase it out with a tap. Now this tap is going to be required because you got to clean the adhesive out of the original threads. So I actually need to chase this upper hole out again with the tap, probably a couple of times, to clean these threads out, and then blast out with carb cleaner. You can take, I just hold it upside down and blast it, but you can take this stuff off. The white part is just this tube, which is like the return tube, and you could shoot carb cleaner straight into that, or fuel injection cleaner, fuel system cleaner, let's put it that way. Also, I've replaced my fuel filter, so that's a new one, and so I'm going to continue blasting that out when it's all, well, when I'm done, I'm going to blast that out. But for now, I got to continue chasing these threads out, and what you're getting is this stuff. That's the remainder of the threads of the original plastic fitting. Now, I'm going to post up the information about these fittings, but these are definitely the right ones, and the tap's the right one. And as you can see, it easily threads in there. Once again, back on my complaining about this, they should have put these on right from the start. This is ridiculous because it's not easy to do. I mean, it's not difficult technically, but it's incredibly time consuming. Alrighty. So now everything's cleaned up, and I'm ready to put these back in. And so I wrapped them in Teflon tape. That's probably 2 full passes there. And what you want to do here is take and make sure the very end of it does not have any Teflon on it. Just kind of push it down. Now I put the Teflon on thick, and it should fight you somewhat to get in there. And that's it. No more leaks. You will not thread these all the way down because the threaded part on the metal ones is a little taller than the plastic ones. Plus, you'll notice there's a shoulder there, and if you offer that up to where it has to thread in there, you can easily see that that's not going to, the bottom of the nut's not going to go all the way down to the plate. So just thread it in until it feels like it's solid, and then stop, because you don't want to strip it out and mess up this plate, because then you got to buy a whole new base plate, and that would suck. I've got the fittings on, and there's a red tie wrap on the one that says red, and that's our pressure side. I had a bit of a change of plan. I ended up reusing these fittings. Main 2 reasons. One, it's already red and silver. The other reason is this hose, the return hose, is actually bigger, and the one I had ordered was a 1/4 inch. This actually, you would need a bigger fitting, and I'm not sure if the barbed one has the right size on it. So what I did was I took the fittings that I already bought, the male sides here, and I scrounged their new O-rings. I put some electrical tape on there and some red tie wraps, so for sure you can't get them confused. And this is just a waxy lip balm, and I'm going to use this to lubricate these O-rings, and I'm also going to use it for the O-ring that seals the fuel pump to the tank. Now this is the original O-ring, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape. What I did was I used a Mr. Clean magic eraser and just water. It's like a micro abrasive sponge kind of thingy. They're white. You use them on the kitchen to get like gray stains off your countertop and stuff. Once again, I'm going to take this lip balm. Any waxy lip balm's fine. And it's just temporary. This is not going to seal the O-ring. What it will do though is as this O-ring's crushing, it'll provide just enough lubricant that it'll slip and squish into its position without hanging up on anything. And all these parts need to go back into the bike clean. Clean, 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 clean. I can't say it enough. Last thing you want to do is spend all this time doing this work and then get dirt in your fuel system. So now, I'm just going to slide that dude right into place. And it's going to kind of want to stay there. This base here, I've cleaned it, but there's a little bit of corrosion on there. I've cleaned it as best I can. I've got the lip balm on here, and it's wax, and you don't want big globs on it, just a smear, a film on there. So now take note that it says front. That means it's got to face that way on the tank. I got to fish this dude in here and try to remember exactly how I got it out, because it's got to go in an angle and the filter clears first. There we go. Now the trick is that O-ring is slightly smaller than the little place it has to seat. But there's a groove in the tank where it sits. And now I just start doing up the nuts and the washers. One last check. Everything's where I want it. And I'm sighting down between the tank and the fuel injection plate just to make sure that my gasket hasn't decided to move on me. And slathering that up with the lip balm actually goes a long ways towards holding it in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to begin tightening these down. And I'm still sighting down here so I can see how it's drawing the plate together. This plate will bottom out, so eventually you're not going to see any gap. Well, ideally, you want to try and make this perfect star pattern. Really all I'm looking for is that the O-ring and the plate is seating squarely, so that's why I'm sighting down between the gap. I'm holding the ratchet in between my index finger and my middle finger there, and I'm just twisting with my wrist, and I'm using my left hand because I'm right-handed, and that puts me at somewhat of a disadvantage for how much torque I can put into there. Because once the plate bottoms, it ain't going anywhere. So there's no reason to snap the friggin' studs off now, is there? So last thing I'm doing here before I get ready to go back, put everything on the bike, is I'm just cleaning up any oily, goopy residue mess. When it comes to the fuel system, work clean. Make everything clean. Make your environment clean where you're gonna be doing work on your fuel system. Because you'd hate to go through all this mess and put on a dirty fuel filter, let a bunch of cack and garbage get inside of the system, and then just have it fail after all this effort. So make it clean as you're doing it. A few more jobs before I throw the tank on here, so I'm going to do that. I'm not necessarily going to film it. I'm going to put new plugs in here, and I got to clean up the air box. And then I can put all this back together and then we can fire it up. Some of the stuff I've been doing, Gary put the fuel tank on, is I just put new plugs in the bike. And I had to install my own turn signals. And if you've seen previous videos, you know that the previous owner had ditched the turn signals. But the best way to wire these in, especially if you're going to use aftermarket, is to use proper bullet connectors, because these are waterproof. And you really do need to take the tank off to get enough room to work on your indicators. And for the most part, black is the ground. That's what it tested out to be, and it works just fine. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time cleaning all this up because Ginger the Speedy here needs to go in for her service to have the valves adjusted, and I need to have the throttle body synchronized, and they're going to clean all this crap out for me at that time. So I'm just about ready to put it all back together. My airbox cleaned up. I got the K&N filter in there. I got new plugs in it. I fixed the little turn signal harness connectors, and I've got my new fittings all lubed up with the lip balm coax. Now it's just a question of getting it all on the bike. Connector goes back on the fuel tank for the power. One vent hose, second vent hose, then looking for my red tie wrap. Ooh, that makes a nice sound. That was the red hose, and the white hose. Now it's just a question of the tank to set back where it's supposed to be. Now I just got to put some fuel into it before I button it up to make sure it's not going to leak. Well, after a while, many hours actually, I've got Ginger the Speedy put back together, and so I'm going to turn the ignition to the start position, but I'm not going to crank it over. Let the fuel system pressurize and then check for leaks. So that's what we're doing right now. Now, it's not the best angle in the world, plus there's a light directly under it, but it should come out. Alright, here we go. So the fuel pump has now pressurized the system, and I'm going to have to put the camera down, but visually I don't see any leaks. But let me put the camera down and feel around the hoses and stuff. Alright, got the garage door open. System's been pressurized now for about 2 minutes, and no leaks on the base plate. So all the little smearing with the lip balm, the waxy lip balm, helped all those O-rings make a seal. So let's fire it up. This is probably going to be a little loud, but I don't care. Sweet! Alright. Starts up, runs just fine. I gotta check it for leaks. It's been about an hour now. I've started it up about 3 or 4 times. No fuel leaks. In the meantime, I put on a carbon fiber accent on the upper triple / yoke clamp, and on the old on the clocks there. It looks nice. I mean, and it goes well with the carbon fiber can that I got. I also, since I did it on the front, I took the time to put some proper motorcycle style bullet connectors on my LED signals there. Just got to put the seat on it and it's ready to ride. Some things on the maintenance to-do list. Cooling system needs flushed and new coolant. That's going to happen at the dealership because I'm going to take it in and get the valves adjusted. And the brakes need to be flushed because that fluid's a little dark. I'm going to do that when I do the brake pads and I'm not quite ready to dig into that just yet. But everything else is fine. Any decent OBD2 scanner, this one I got at the auto parts store, can read and clear all of the codes on the Triumph, or at least this model of Triumph, the Speed 4. And it just under the seat, right about in that area, there's a little OBD connector hidden in there. You just pull it out, plug it in, arm the bike, and read the codes and clear them. And you can look up the code numbers in any decent manual and figure out what's wrong with your bike. But right now we are code free. Well, I just got back from taking the Speedy for a brief ride, and everything seems okay. So what else could I do to the bike? Well, more to the point, what else does the Speedy need? The clutch feels a little weird. Bike's got 17,000 miles on it. I don't know how abused the clutch was. I'm assuming it was abused heavily because the rest of the bike was. And I'll show you what I mean. Brand new clutch cable. It is properly adjusted per the manual. I should not have this many threads out at the end of this. And I've also had to adjust it out a little bit here to get, well, right now it doesn't have enough free play. I've been messing with this. But that's about how much free play I should have. And I gotta look it up in the manual, but I'm pretty sure it's probably close to needing a clutch. It's not slipping yet, but at low speeds it feels weird, so that'll be on the to-do list. So I'm hoping if it doesn't thunderstorm like it's supposed to tomorrow, I'm gonna clean up the Speedy. I was gonna do a video on how to do paint correction, but honestly I'm just gonna do it. Not really trying to do a bunch of DIY videos. There are people way better at it than I am when it comes to DIYs on motorcycles, but I just figure, you know, it's interesting stuff. People might want to see what I'm doing. I do get a lot of questions about the Speed 4, so I figure while I'm doing it I can at least record some of this stuff and then people will know. I know Ginger's going to need her valve adjustment coming up soon. At that time I'm going to have the dealer also flush the radiator and the coolant because I got to pull the radiator off the bike to get the valve cover off so I could do the valve adjustment. So I'm just going to let them do it all at the same time. I'm going to flush the brake fluid front and rear, and I'm also going to put new pads on it. And I'm probably going to end up putting a new clutch on it at the end of the season. I'm going to ride it for a while. It's not slipping. It's only that little bit of weirdness, and I think it's getting close to the end of its adjustment, but we'll see. I do have yet another set of mirrors coming in for the bike. Those mirrors are kind of cool, but because of the angle that the clip-ons are on the bike and the way it uses like I think it's a 10.5 or 10 millimeter by 5 post for the mirror. Those type of mirrors tend to be made for a bar that's where it mounts is a lot more straight. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and until my next video, ride safe.